What will happen to Jose Ibarra in prison? So before we get into that, let's discuss the case and the tragedy that took this young lady's life. Now, it all started February 22nd, 2024 on the University of Georgia. A call to the police about a peeping Tom, a real stalker, nasty motherfucker looking through the window in the college campus at other students. We all know the type. Most serial killers, thrill killers, piece of shits like this are always looking in windows, always gunning like they do in prison. When they just pull out their thing and just start yanking it, whatever they see. All predators. They all are predators. I don't give a fuck what you say. The incident happened around 8 a.m. and the college student basically identified Ibarra and said, look, this motherfucker's invading my privacy. He's a creep, and who knows what else predator shit he's got going on in his mind. So this brings us to later in the morning. The beautiful young nursing student, Laken Riley, 22 years old, decided to go jogging around this same time. She went on her normal runs on the campus trails, but this time she never came back. What really angers me is they didn't pursue this peeping Tom. What the fuck? You looking through windows of college students? You're a predator. This motherfucker, they should have had the whole campus locked down. They should have never had that young lady running through trails alone like that. Should have alerted everybody. That's crazy. And then when they went to trial for this shit, they didn't even want that to be put into evidence. The judge is like, fuck that. You're a creep. Anyway, so at 1 p.m., the beautiful young Riley's body is found, approximately 1.5 miles from the peeping Tom incident. She was found near the university's campus park, a very short distance from Ibarra, the fucking predator piece of shit's house. So obviously the peeping Tom incident was a failure by the police, but at the same time was a lot to do with why they arrested him. It took less than 24 hours to have this piece of shit in custody. It took less than 24 hours to have this piece of shit locked up for this crime and in custody. Body was found February 22nd, 2024. He was then detained February 23rd of 2024. They linked him through video, DNA, witness reports, people matching the description of the peeping Tom as well, how close it was to his house, and phone records, and obviously his phone footprint throughout the area is ultimately what got him hemmed up. Now, this is a tragedy. This lady, young lady, was at the height of her life, worked hard to get where she wanted to be, was at a great school, 22 years old, beautiful, and this dude takes her life in a crime of just straight opportunity. I guarantee he had plans to do the worst to her. He probably was gonna do the same thing to that girl he was watching through the window, and he just got spooked because he's a coward. She fought him off, she scratched his face, so he probably just panicked and didn't know what to do. Now, he was arrested for having an illegal green card, entering the country illegally, where he sought asylum since he was a Venezuelan. And I speak of him in the past tense because his life is over, but we'll get to that in a minute. So obviously, this is why they need to treat everybody the same when it comes to arresting people. If 1 out of 100 are rapist killers, then that's multiple people you've saved. And that goes for people that are citizens of America, people that aren't. They're letting these motherfuckers off the hook on too many crimes, and they don't give a fuck until they have to give a fuck. This beautiful, young, 22-year-old in the prime of her life, doing everything to be the best person she could be, goes running. Nobody alerted her. Nobody wanted to tell her, hey, the cops, everybody should have had that whole entire place shut down. There's a peeping Tom, a pervert. How do they don't know he's a chomo, a serial killer? And they're just, nobody knows anything, and she's freely running 8 a.m. on the campus trails. That's bullshit. I don't care what anybody says. And in this day and age, how can a motherfucker be able to grab her and snatch her and bring her by his property? Obviously, she fought back, and he's a coward. I mean, that goes without saying, but he ultimately took her life. And they found his fingerprints on her phone and so much other shit. But the thing is, if there was a peeping Tom on the campus, how was he able to move like that? Why was she able to even run in areas that were secluded? That should have been in a mandatory shutdown. They're not letting anybody go anywhere till we find this pedophile, chomo, predator piece of shit. But no, like I always say, they don't give a fuck until they have to give a fuck. Now it's brought up, it's used against him. Ultimately, he's found guilty and sentenced to life. Now, the way it works in prison, especially if you're Venezuelan, Mexican, you come from South America, there's a certain code of ethics and politics they live by. If you come in there and you're good standing and you had some hard times, whatever, but no bad charges like this, no creep shit, they'll embrace you. They'll love you. They'll feed you. They'll protect you. You guys will go to war. Big knives. Nobody fucking with them in there. However, if you're a fucking thrill kill, chomo, predator, fucking peeping Tom motherfucker, it's mandatory that they remove you from this earth. During my stay, growing up in prison, some of the most vicious stabbings and killings that I've seen were from certain organizations from South America, or just people that were South American, period, that saw somebody from their country, Venezuela, Mexico, wherever it may be, that had horrible charges, chomo, predator, just thrill kill shit. Fucking peeping Tom, gunning. They'll kill you if you gun at an officer, where they pull out their thing and just start yanking it at the officer. They'll literally cut it off right there and castrate you. You do anything to make them look bad or anything like that, they brutally stab you, and they will do it in the most peaceful way imaginable. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say. So once they realize who you are, they already know everything, as they run the show. Especially in Georgia, they run the show. South Americans run the show in Georgia. Mexicans, the Southsiders, Venezuelans, Ecuador, so many of them are running the show over there. They got the numbers, and they're not afraid to put the work in, because they've been doing this shit their whole life. So you cannot afford to make that organization look bad by killing innocent people in colleges, looking through windows. It's a mandatory green light. However, they'll rock you to sleep. And the way I've seen it done was just like this. A dude that was a Mexican dude, he started talking to some dudes that were Southsiders. He had bad charges. He wasn't in any gang, and he had a charge of, I think, rape, attempted rape, something like that. And they said, listen, we don't care about that shit, man. We don't even believe it. They just played him and played him and played him. And they said, hey, we're going to throw down, we're going to eat. And they acted like they had this whole meal plan for him. This was like 3 or 4 months that have gone by. I didn't understand the game yet. I was still young and learning prison. I was like, how could they fuck with this dude? And that's when I saw them just hit his ass up. Lawnmower blades. One dude stretching him out, grabbing him by the back of his head while they're just hitting him and hitting him. The dude is just screaming, but no noise is coming out. Lungs are getting punctured, gurgling. I remember that shit like it was yesterday. Another situation that I remember was kind of similar to this. These dudes were from South America. I forget exactly where. And the dude came in there and he was gunning, like I told you guys. Basically, a peeping Tom in prison is a gunner. Guy that looks at officers, female officers, male officers, whoever, and they pull out their thing and they start yanking it. That's a mandatory violation of their code of ethics. And you don't have to be in a gang when you're from South America to follow these code of ethics. You will get all the rewards as long as you don't have bad paperwork or act stupid, like a demonic, evil chomo motherfucker. And I had a lot of respect for a lot of Southsiders and dudes that were in prison. They always showed me love, but they either took care of their own in the best way or in the worst way. But I would never slide. And they have a lot of power. So dude was gunning and gunning. They got word of it, and they got him in the cell, and they castrated him. That's what he has to look forward to. When you come from South America, you're part of an organization like they claim he is, it's mandatory. They have to be as vicious and violent and just completely gut him, because they cannot have that stain on their name. They have too much respect. They've earned it over years and years of bloodshed and violence. Some of these gangs and wars have been going on before I was born and long after I'll be dead. So fuck that piece of shit, and rest in peace to the beautiful 22-year-old. Pray for you. Stay out. stay free. Us.